Dear friends, today we have a very special program because I have with me Meyer Grunberg. It's a double pleasure, double meaning to it, because Meyer is the son of Henry, and Henry Grunberg is the one that directs all my videos. Excellent, obviously, artist, and I hope that you agree with me that the videos are good, especially because of Henry. But Meyer has importance in, of, and by himself. Meyer is also the president of a group called Shalom FIU. FIU is the Florida International University. It's a state university here in Miami, and Meyer is the president of Shalom. What is Shalom FIU, Meyer?
Well, Shalom FIU is the Israel Cultural and Advocacy Group. We try to explain to the student body what Israel is really about, what Israelis like to do, what's going on between the Israelis and the Palestinians on the ground, and to show them that it's a country of people, and it's not a country of headlines, and that there's real people there living, breathing, and trying to succeed in life, and that's what we try to...
Let me ask you something, Meyer. Is there also, comment allez-vous, a French society that tries to explain how France is at FIU? Is there a German one? Mm-hmm. Is there a Swiss one? Why is there an Israeli one?
Well,
why do you think that?
There actually are cultural groups.
Yes?
Yes, because Florida International University is a school with people from all over the world, and there are actually groups for other countries. The main difference between our groups and their groups is that while they'll call themselves the cultural group for Mexico, the cultural group for Spain, and Venezuela actually has a huge group. It's probably the most successful group. We also call ourselves an advocacy group because we feel the need to advocate for Israel because there's a lot of wrongful indications and wrongful accusations about what's happening in Israel that doesn't happen in other countries. And that's the main difference.
Why do you think that is so? Why do people hate us a little bit? Why is it that Israel is special? You know, we just read something in the Torah where a non-Jewish prophet says that the Jewish people are a people by themselves, unique, alone. Golda Meir once said that in the United Nations, every other country has friends, groups, you know, areas, Latin America group, African group, European. Israel's all by itself. Mm-hmm. So why do you think they hate us in particular?
I think to a certain extent people expect more from Jewish people in general, from our history of success. So when they see something like a bad headline where they don't really dig into what actually happened, they'll be like, how could that happen? So they put them under, they put the Jewish people under a certain scope. That's on one hand. On the other hand, I feel like people have good intentions. People want to see peace. People are tired of seeing these bad headlines. And they don't understand why it keeps happening. So they automatically jump to the side of, look how many people died on one side and not the other. So obviously the side of people that died less, they must be the bad guys.
Do you think it's fair to compare what Israel is doing with the Holocaust of the Palestinian people?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because it's not a Holocaust. If anything, Israel has worked to save more Palestinians than any other country in the world. If you look at the civil war in Syria for the last 6 years, more Palestinians have died in 6 years than the entire conflict between Israel and the Palestinians of just the 70 years of Israel as a modern state.
Are you aware that Israel helps some of the people?
Absolutely, in Syria.
Yeah.
They're camping at the border right now, and Israel's taking in the ones that need help, and they bring them to the hospitals in the Rambam Hospital in Haifa, the Nahariya Hospital. I was actually just at the AJC conference in Jerusalem, and one of the patients from the Nahariya Hospital came, a Syrian refugee, came to speak to the conference, and that was very, very moving.
Meyer, I would imagine that the Jewish students are more interested in Israel because of our history. They may even have relatives in Israel. For reading history and what have you, they have a different attitude toward Israel. But yet, I hear that the message is not only to the non-Jewish student, even to the Jewish student. How is that?
Well, because I feel like a lot of Jewish students here who either maybe they haven't gone to Israel, they haven't been able to experience going to Israel, They don't have that sense of identity that Israel sort of embodies in a lot of other people. So they become a little complacent in the fact that Israel exists, and yeah, it's going to continue existing, but it doesn't really mean anything more than that. And you know, here in the diaspora, you go, especially if you're in a sort of an observant home, you go home and you live a Jewish life at home, and Israel's independent of your Jewish life. Israel has nothing to do with your Jewish identity. So we try to reach out to those Jewish students and explain to them that it does have something to do with your Jewish identity. Your history is there, and you have to know that history in order to defend that history. And
don't you find that those who are religiously inclined are closer to Israel than those who are not, or not?
Yes, in a sense, in a general sense, yes, they are much closer to Israel because of the holy sites and our desire to preserve the holy sites.
Mm-hmm. That is all you think? But that's the land where Abraham lived, right. Isaac. All our tradition stems from Israel. There are many obligations, mitzvot, that one can fulfill only in Israel. Even living in Israel is a mitzvah. So don't you think that religious people have a greater affinity toward Israel than non-religious?
Yes, I just wish I would see it more on campus, because I do come across a lot of religious students who I'll see them with the kippah, but I'll never see them at an event. I'll never see them, and we promote our events, and we reach out, and they've been to other events of Hillel and Chabad, so they're in our list of contacts.
Your radar.
Yeah, they're in our list of contacts. So I just wish I saw that more. FIU, Florida International University, has a specific issue where it's a commuter school. So a lot of our students will come to school, they'll go to class, and then they'll want to go home. So it's sort of like an extra push for them to actually come to an event after a class when then they have to drive home. It takes a little more commitment. So for me, especially personally, I really appreciate when I see students that go out of their way to come to our events, even if it's not part of their schedule or it means they're going to get home later. Because a lot of them, they do want to come, and they tell me they want to come when I see them on campus, but they're like, I really don't have any time.
You know, I asked you before, Meyer, and you told me you're 22 years old. Well, you're in college. You're college age. So you were born, and Israel was there. You and your friends have no idea what it is to be like a Jew without a state of Israel. I think it's very important to deliver that message. You know, Israel is here. But there were many years, centuries, when there was no Israel. And our history was altogether different. Look at what happened in the Second World War. Do you think that cannot be repeated again, what happened in the Second World War against the Jewish people?
Yeah, I don't think it can happen again. As long as
you don't think so?
As long as Israel exists.
Ah, because you think there's Israel. So Israel is very important.
I also think the U.S. would play a much larger role in preventing anything like that now.
But it didn't at the time.
Right, now I'm saying, now I think
they would get involved.
They would absolutely get involved.
But don't you see that genocides taking place in the world? Look at what's happening in Syria.
Yeah.
And the world looks at it, you know, and nobody really wants to get involved. You ask somebody in the United States, should I go and fight in Iraq, in Syria, and Afghanistan? Why should I fight for Arab people? Let them do their own work. So maybe, you know, I'm not too sure whether the United States and other countries would really come to the aid, because I personally thought that after the Holocaust, anti-Semitism would be dead in the world. It wouldn't stick its head out. But then we see that anti-Semitism is alive and well. As a matter of fact, the fact that you have to have an advocacy for Israel is a sign that things aren't that good. You know? Yeah.
On that note, anti-Semitism took a new face in the last probably 40 years, 50 years in showing itself in anti-Zionism. And I'm not saying that anti-Semitism is anti-Zionism. I'm just saying that there are a lot of forms of anti-Zionism today that are pretty blatant anti-Semitism. And that's what you see a lot on campus. FIU, not as much, because for a couple of reasons. Either because the students don't care enough. The students just want to go home. or even the students that do care about it secretly, and like maybe they'll post things on social media against Israel. Again, they won't go out of their way to actually become involved on campus and like fight against us, try to pass a BDS resolution. It hasn't happened. But what I try to do and what I try to teach the other members and the other board members is that we have to establish sort of that base of education and advocacy to be able to be ready for that to happen, because it could happen at any moment.
Do you get any direct help from the consulate, Israeli consulate in Miami, from the State of Israel, or are you an independent group?
We are an independent group, but we work with other groups such as Stand With Us, Hasbara Fellowships, CAMRA, the Committee for Accurate Middle East Reporting. These are different groups that have campus advisors, and they work with you one-on-one. We've also been in contact with the Federation to help us send students to Israel on a subsidized plan on different programs to help them see it firsthand and actually have conversations with Israelis and Palestinians and sort of educate themselves in that way.
In any event, I think you're doing a great job. A great job, because unfortunately it is very necessary. That's from a negative point of view, because people are antagonistic maybe toward the State of Israel. But I think also there's a lot of ignorance. Or I don't care. Exactly. What difference does it make to me?
On both sides, there's
on both sides.
Yeah.
So I think you're doing a tremendous job, and you certainly should be very persistent and continue. I think that this world belongs to those that don't give up. If you have the right idea, make sure you continue with it. You're about to graduate, you told me. Well, after you graduate, I hope you still stay in touch with Shalom FIU, because you're the president now.
Yes.
Well, you'll never lose that title, no? You'll be ex-president, but you'll always be the president. Mayor, great pleasure to speak to you today.
Good speaking to you too.